Hello lovelies and welcome to my kitchen. So I have an old junk journal video that actually has a lot of views. I'm really surprised. It's got like something like 2,000 views. It's really cool. And basically I put together a junk journal, but I didn't show where I make any of my paper or put my signatures together. I just put together the junk journal. But I get a lot of comments on it asking how I make my paper, because I did mention that in the video. And so I thought today, that's what we might do. I thought today we'd make some different kinds of paper. And when I say make paper, I don't actually mean make paper. I mean dye or color or, you know, some paper. And yeah, I thought we'd start there. So at the moment I am coffee dyeing, and I'm pointing to my oven, yes. I coffee dye, I'll show you. Okay, so this is just regular coffee dyeing. I'm gonna do a couple of things because I like bright colors as well. So I do some marbling with shave foam, which is really cool, and paint, some watercolor, some ink, all sorts of stuff. But we're gonna start with the basics. Coffee dyeing. So basically I have this little baking tray thingy. I don't use it. This is the only thing I use it for. I've heard people actually use cat litter trays as well, so I might get one of those. Not that I have a cat, but anyway. Yeah, so it's just got a mixture of coffee. Literally, I bought cheap and nasty coffee from Coles, and I mix that up with some warm water, fill my tray, and then stick my paper in. Once I've put my paper in, then I head to the oven. Now, I use the oven because I like the effect, and I'll show you what happens. Okay, so be careful. As you can see, it gets this really nice crinkly look about it, and this is what I love most. So I love that sound, and yes, it is a bit warped, but then I tend to lay it under a heavy book and stack all my pages together, and then it flattens out. So that's what I do now. You don't have to use the oven. I will show you the other method I use for drying my paper when we get to the next lot, because I only ever use the oven to dry coffee paper because it adds to the look, and yeah, I just love that crinkly sound. So sometimes I use my heat gun if I can't be bothered, and other times I actually use a clothes air dryer. So I'll show you that tonight, a little bit later. I'm going to do some more coffee paper, and then I'm going to get onto some marbling if I can steal hubby's shaving foam, and if he's got enough. What do you reckon? We'll steal some daddy's shaving foam? Yeah. And then, yeah, do some watercolor and stuff as well. So I'm going to show you all sorts of techniques that I use for my junk journals, because as much as I love this, I also love bright colors, and you can't really get that from, careful, the oven's open, can't really get that from tea dyeing and coffee dyeing. There is ways, people get some really nice things with avocado and that. I don't know how to do it. I just use my inks, my watercolors. I'll show you some of the things that I use. So yeah, we're gonna get started. So as you can see, I've got all my wrinkly warped papers. So basically this is just lined paper from this book here. It's an A4 exercise book. But yeah, so for now, that's what I'm using to do some of these. I'll do some of this paper on some of my colored techniques as well. But then basically all I do is I just dump it under something heavy just to flatten it out, and that works really well. You'd be surprised how well that works. So yeah, that's it from me for now. I will be back very soon, and I will show you some other techniques to color some paper for your junk journals. So the easiest way I have found to use my oven is, as you saw, to use baking trays. I laid baking trays on each shelf, and then I put the paper onto the baking tray, so that way I don't have to try and put the paper on the shelf and risk burning myself. I just pull the baking tray in and out, and it works really well for me, so yeah. Alright, so the next thing we're going to do is shaving foam marbling, which is Coopy's favourite, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we can't really do a lot because we don't have a lot of shaving foam. We stole it from Dad, yeah, and he's kind of out. So we're going to see how this works. We're going to try our best. Alright, so any old shaving foam works. Actually, I found that the Woolies one works better than the Coles one, but that's just personal preference. And then we're just going to... He really is out, isn't he? There we go.
Whoa, there we go.
There we go.
Whoa. Whoa. Neat.
We've used it all.
Oh no. How is he going to shave his beard?
We'll get him some more tomorrow. Alright, so I don't know if this is going to work because it's not really a lot, but we'll give it a try. So then we're going to flatten it out a bit.
Oh, can I flatten it out a bit?
1 second, you can pull it off. We might have to try this tomorrow with a little more. And then, there are lots of ways you can do this. Now, back when I was in school, we did it with food colouring. Nowadays, mixed media artists, we can do it any way we like. I've done it with paint, but today, we're going to do it with some ink spray. So, we don't really have a lot of shaving foam to work with, but we'll see what happens. You never know. So we're going to spray.
Out of the can.
Yeah, we're going to spray a little bit. I haven't used these in so long that it's actually taking a bit to...
Hey.
Alright, you know what, we're just going to do it this way.
Yeah, actually gets me going, yeah.
Oh, look, now it sprays. Alright, so we're going to just put a bit of this in here. So just, you know, a couple areas. This one I use not long ago, so. And then we're going to mix it.
Whoa!
So we're going to marble it up a bit.
Oh, hey mommy.
Yeah.
What happens if you make it really wet?
Well, you tell me. What are we getting?
Green?
Purple.
Purple!
But I don't like purple, so I'm just going to throw a bit more
Red.
of this in some blank areas because I don't want purple.
Can I help?
Yeah, sure. Swirl it up. Not too much. Over here, mix it up. There we go. Alright. Wipe that off of there. So then, we're going to get some paper. And we're just going to place it on top. And it's that simple. Then we're going to lift it up.
I wanted to do that.
Now, right now, looks like a bit of a mess. But, when we then...
Oh, can I use that?
We're then going to get our little scrapey tool here, and Cooper is going to show you what we do with it.
Okay.
Alright, ready?
Okay. So I'm going to scrape this, and I'm going to make it smooth. Here I go.
Now we pull it off. Remember, we're going to scrape the shaving cream off, put it back in here, and it's going to give us
a cool pattern.
A cool pattern, is it? Yes, very cool pattern.
Yeah. I can't wait for dinner, Mommy.
I know. As soon as I do this, I'll put dinner on. The oven's kind of in use. Alright, and this is what we're left with.
Ta-da!
So that is what happens when you use shaving foam and you're left with that really cool marbly texture.
Oh, Mommy, can I do the next one?
Yep, sure. So these ones don't really get wet, so I don't dry them in the oven. I just tend to, if I have the air out, I'll put them on the air. In this case, I've only done one side, so I might do the other side once it's dry. But yeah, they don't get that wet, so they air dry pretty well, and I just leave them on the bench. All right, want to do another one?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll do it.
Okay.
I've always wanted to do it.
Well, we still have some shaving foam in here. Let's just plonk some more in.
Woo!
Let's see if we can get the red to actually. There we go. We've got the red to spray.
It's working. Yes. Oh look, we're getting a bit more. Looks like we're getting purple.
So I've never actually used this little amount of shaving foam before, but you know, what's the worst that can happen? The paper has a little bit of colour on it, not a big deal. So, you know, it's all about experimenting with colours. You're going to spray that everywhere, aren't you? It's all about, don't spray it. It's all about just experimenting and getting some cool paper. Plonk it in, see what you get. Yep, not too flat. That's a boy. Nice. Alright.
Whoops.
That's alright. Alright, so then we pull it out. Hot mess.
Ooh.
And then we are going to... I have this little spatula thing that I found in my second drawer.
Spatula?
You know how everyone has that drawer in their kitchen? This is in mine, and I just use this. And then we just pull...
Oh, Mommy, I can see the pattern.
Yep. Pull that shaving cream off.
Did that show everyone?
Yep, once I get all the shaving cream off. This one's pretty pink.
Oh!
And
When you make what?
voila.
Check out when you get lots of red and blue.
So this is what we got from the first go of marbling. So this was when the pattern was really, really nice. As you can see, it's very mixed and messy in there. And that gave us this. It's not as marbled, but still a nice coloured paper, so it's not a big deal. Normally I would use fresh shaving cream, do more of a marble, whereas you can see that we've been using very coloured shaving cream, and it's given us a big block of colour compared to our original marbled background. So as you can see, same technique, two very different papers. And that's half the fun. So yeah, two very different pages, but still pages that you can use in a junk journal. So that is technique 2, which is shaving foam marbling. Alright, so for this technique I've moved back into my art room just because it's going to be a lot easier to film and show you what I mean. So I'm starting with a messy mat and we're going to use some kind of ink. Water-based ink is best. I am just going to use my Distress Oxides because, well, I have them out and yeah, I just want to use them more. So, going to pick a few colours of Distress. And any art journaler or mixed media scrapbooker has probably done this before. And we're just going to smush it onto a messy mat. So any non-slick surface, if you've got the glass mat, that'll work. I'm just going to use my messy mat. And then you're going to add some water. The more water the better because it's going to get you a really nice blended effect. Then I'm just going to grab my paper and then literally just tap it in a few areas. And then as you can see, we've got, you really can't get this wrong. That's the beauty of it. So voila, and the best part is being in my art room, I can blast that with a heat gun if I want to, which I might in a minute. So I've still got plenty left here, so we'll do it again. And you will see a noticeable difference between that first pull and this second one, obviously, because we've got a lot less ink. I like to add more water still because I really like a nice blend when I do it. So when I dry this off, we'll be able to see it a bit better. So also what you can do is while there's still a bit of ink on here, add a little more, spritz with some water, and then you're going to get the different tones from the outside mixed with the inside. So to show you what I mean. I am always spraying more water because I like a really nice, but I don't really like this much here. I love this. So I will always use more water and keep spritzing. So as you can see, it's very, very pink. Also, actually I might put some coral in there as well while I've still got ink left on my messy mat. Other things I use in my junk journal, things like doilies as well. Ooh, I love that colour. Look at that, so pretty. And see, because I've got less ink over on the sides, it's giving me a really nice ombre washed out type look. So how pretty is that? So that'll look really nice in my journal as well. Oh, I've still got the coral out. The coral is a really nice colour. I love this colour. Pantone colour of the year as well. More water, and then just plonking it down. There's no wrong way to do this. See, you could just leave it like that if you wanted. Best part about these oxides as well is like once this is dry, I can come back in with another colour as well. And you will see a really nice layered effect. Now I hate leaving ink, so I might see what else I've got within arm's reach. Actually, this is pretty dry already, so I might do the back. So I've done the front, now I'm just going to do the back. Voila, front and back done. So I'm going to blast them with a heat gun and then clean this off and come back with some other colours, I think. from that technique, this is some of the stuff that I'm left with. So this was picked raspberry and coral. That turned out really nice, I have to admit. So did the seedless preserves in the picked raspberry. That was quite nice. So as you can see, some are more blended than others. Now, it is trial and error. It depends on how much water you have, how much ink you have, how much you smoosh. No two are going to look the same, and that is what I love. And it also depends on the colors that you use as well. So this was obviously the coral, and this was picked raspberry with seedless preserves. Yeah, it's a great technique. Oh, look, I didn't do the back of that one. Oh my, how awesome did this turn out? So this is iced spruce and black soot. So surprised by this. I had a feeling it was either going to be a horrible fail or it was going to be awesome. And I'm really quite happy with how awesome it turned out. I love that. I love the iced spruce going into the black soot. That's probably my absolute favorite out of the lot. And as you can see, judging by how much water I had on my page, on my messy mat, changed the look entirely. So as you can see, this was my first pull, so there was lots of that dark color, and this was the last one where I was down to just the last leftover bits. So as you can see, huge difference, exact same technique, exact same colors. That's what I love about doing this stuff. And I was intrigued by how it would go with a bright color and the black soot. So I don't hate it. I actually don't mind it. I'm interested to see how this will go with maybe picked raspberry or salty ocean. That will be a nice one to try. Twisted citron is a gorgeous color. But the only thing I don't like is with the oxide. As you can see, this is the true twisted citron. It is gorgeous. When you've got the oxide version, it's more yellow, but that's obviously the ink property. So, you know, if I really wanted a true citron, I'd use the distress inks. But yeah, you know, for what it is, I don't hate it at all. I actually don't mind it. So this is the other one as well. And that's, yeah. So I do like that. I love bright colors with black. I love the way they pop from the black. So I would really like to maybe try this with the dye inks, the dye distress with maybe some pink or some bright blue. So I might try that. But yeah, so that is technique 3. And that is distress inks and a messy mat. Now, the thing is, you could also do the exact same thing with spray inks, even Tombow markers, and yep, really any kind of water reactive media that you have, any kind of ink. The packaging technique is very similar. I don't think I'll do papers, make papers using that. It's very similar. Basically, you just get some packaging. It's more controlled, and you just sort of smush it everywhere. I've used it many times in past videos. If you don't know about the packaging technique, let me know in the comments below and I'll hook you up with one of my videos that I've used it in. But yeah, you could also colour some papers doing the exact same thing using that. You could even use watercolour on some plastic or on your messy mat and do the exact same thing. What else? So, another thing I wanted to show you. This is I have this $5 easel pad that I get from Kmart, and it's blank paper, and I have a couple of them. I put them down and I use them as a white background because my desk, if you could see my desk, it's an absolute pigsty. I'll see if I can zoom out and show you. So this is my desk. Very cluttered, very messy. This is my tripod and this is how I record videos. So I sit my phone up there and it shoots. So I try and keep it focused on this area here. And I use these to have a white background when I do a new video of some kind. So instead of seeing all my clutter, you see my nice white mat. I do have a mat under here, but I find things stick to it. I'm not a fan. So I use these. Now, as you can see, because I do a lot of mixed media, these get very, very messy and very dirty. Covered in paint, covered in stamped images, covered in overspray, all sorts. And there is a reason that I just keep layering them on top of each other. Because I use these. So I recently made an art journal junk journal for a friend, a scrappy friend. And I use these, I cut them up to fit my journal. So I might cut it down to this size here. And then I'll cut it down. So she'll end up with this. I'll definitely show you because I'm going to use some of these. I actually have some pre-cut, but I don't know where I put them. They're around somewhere. but I will be using some of my drop sheets in an art journal, junk journal that I'm going to make. So yeah, things like this, as you can see, they're all scraps. Sometimes I flip them over as well and use the back. And yeah, so I'll cut it down and use this as some paper in my junk journal as well, which is why I just keep layering them on top of each other. And yeah, just keep spraying, keep inking, keep doing what I do until I'm left with a nice piece that I want to cut up, and I'll put it in my journal. So that is also another way of using some paper in a junk journal. The official thing with the junk journal is you use junk that you have around. A lot of people use junk mail. Me, I don't. I'll show you what I do. So these are some of my past junk journals. I get a book. I don't cover the whole thing. Generally, I tend to do the spine because I like to cover up my stitching. So basically, I don't use junk. I use paper that I have laying around. So I'll use scrapbook paper. Not last year, year before, so 2017 I think. I use junk journals as my daily journal. So that's what this is. So I use scrapbook paper, plain paper, gel prints. This is actually an ink dyed paper. I might show you how I do that. There's that doily. Baking paper is one of my absolute favorites to use. All sorts of different kinds of paper. So because I use this as a journal, this was an ink smoosh, very similar to what we just did. This was an ink marbling. I have some Dervian inks that I used. It was a little bit hit and miss, but it was fun. So yeah, I think my journal, no, it's not upside down. Plain paper, yeah, gel prints, scrapbook paper, all sorts of different. So I don't tend to use junk mail. I tend to use things like what I'm showing you that I'm making today. Oh, book pages is another favorite of mine. Book pages. Now the trick I learned. Now, obviously, when you make a junk journal, it's got to fit, and ripping a page out of a book page isn't gonna, because I don't like to have them that way. So if I was to use this page, I'd have to fold it in half, and I'd get a smaller page in my junk journal. I don't like that. So basically, I literally taped two together and put it in the middle of my signature. So the flip side of that is here. So yeah, things like that. This is like a little piece that I had. I think this was a gel print, just a small, actually no, it's a piece from a magazine. So this one I did put sideways. So I ripped, it was a gel print and a piece from a magazine too. So I did some gel prints on some of my magazines. So that was one of those. Lots of gel prints. I have a lot of gel prints, so I like to use them in here a lot. Envelopes, I do put envelopes in here as well. You'll see all this when I put together this junk journal that I'm making all these papers for. I might end up putting it into another video because this video is probably getting pretty long already, so we might do 2 videos. But yeah, so basically I don't use junk mail. I use things like this. I use gel prints, doilies, lined paper that I've dyed, tea dye, coffee dye, baking paper, all sorts of things like that. Yeah, gel prints magazine. I do use book pages and magazine pages just because I love the texture and think they look really cool. And envelopes and things like that. So that's not a quick video, but that is basically a little overview of how I make some pages. My marble ones aren't here, they're still drying on the bench. But I've got a lot of pages here. This is just purely lined paper. Generally when I do this, I'll do lined paper, some doilies, and also some plain copy paper. I'm actually all out of plain copy paper at the moment. My son goes through ream after ream, so we don't have any. So I've just been using all lined paper. So obviously this won't all go in one journal because, as you can see, I like to mix up my papers a lot. Oh, this is actually a piece from, is it the Bo Bunny? Oh, I'll have to show you because I like to include things like that too. So Project Life cards you can put in here. All sorts of random stuff. Glassine bags, book paper. This is the other side of that Bo Bunny. I think they're like papers not papers, like note cards from the Bo Bunny set, and I bought some really cool ones. And literally I just taped them together because obviously when you make a junk journal, you'll see when I go to do it, your signature is a bunch of papers, and then you fold them in half, and that's how you get your book pages. Now obviously if I just had a single page, I couldn't put it in there because it doesn't flip to the other side. So literally I tape them together with some washi tape, and that's how I get two one-sided pieces to join together to make a double for a signature, if that makes sense. I will show you in the next video what I'm talking about, so make sure you stay tuned and come back for that one, because I will explain how I get different pieces like this and like the book paper in my journal, because I've actually used golden books as well in the past in my December junk journal. So I'll have to show you what I mean, and why I tape two together. And yeah, so that's what we're gonna make. We're gonna make one of these. But yeah, as I was saying, I have a lot of paper here. This is more than enough for a few journals. So I have a little drawer that I stash excess in. When I do this, I tend to do a whole bunch. As you can see, I've got a book here full of paper because I'm out of copy paper. So I'm just gonna keep using this. And instead of just, you know, doing a few, I'm just going to keep going while I have the time and the motivation and all the stuff out. I'll just keep making paper after paper, lots and lots of different kind of paper. And then, yeah, when I go to put my signatures together, I will see what ones I want to use, and the rest I'll just stash in my drawer until I'm ready to make another journal. So, yeah, it's not something I do a lot, but when I do it, I just keep going for a couple hours until I get bored with it. It's something that's one of those things, like my gel plate, I find it very addictive. Once it's out, I'll keep going forever until I run out of paper, or until I've run out of time in the day, things like that. It's one of those things that you can sit and do for a while, and it gives you a great stash of paper. As you can see, mine's still a bit wrinkled, so what I would do is I would then go and sit this under a heavy pile of books, and it'll flatten them all out really nicely. I think we'll call that it for today. And the next video we do will be part 2, and I will put all my signatures together and actually make a new junk journal. Because what I want to do is I want to make a couple of these, and I haven't made them in a while. I love junk journals. I'm more journals than I know what to do with, but I have an idea, and I will let you know about that in the next video. But yeah, so we're going to call that it for now. Hope you have enjoyed this long-winded video, but it is a really good way to see how you can make all different kinds of paper instead of just coffee dye. Like, don't get me wrong, I love coffee dye, but I'm a very bright person. Oh look, this is my December one. This is when I used a golden book. So I'll show you how I've done that too in the next video. So yeah, like I said, I'm a very bright colored person. Like, coffee dye doesn't really work with my color scheme. I think the only time I did use it was in my Christmas section, and that's because I went with the golden book, so I was able to use it. But for the most part, I like bright papers. I like to use bright colors, inky papers, gel prints, all sorts of things like that. So that's why I tend to color my paper like this instead of just use plain coffee paper. So if you're anything like me and you enjoy bright colors and want to try some different techniques and different color palettes in your junk journals, this video is for you. So yeah, I'm gonna call it quits for today, and I'll come back with the next part of the video and we will put together a junk journal. Thanks for watching. I hope you didn't get too bored, and I hope it wasn't too long-winded, but it's gonna be a great journal when we're done. Thanks for watching. I'll see you real soon. Bye for now.